Question 4. Question 4. The matrices A, B and C are given by those expressions there. Find these things, 5A minus 3B. So you were given plenty of space. Let's use the space. 5A minus 3B, that's 5A minus 3B. If we're adding these things, then we need to make sure that we keep the, they need to be the same size matrices to add, don't they? And they are, these are the same dimensions. So we're going to get a 1 by 3 at the end of it. And we have 5A, take away 3B. We have 10, take away 3 times 0. And we have 15, take away 3 times 5. Take away 15. So the answer that we should have is 5A minus 3B, 10, 0. And because I was a little bit worried about my multiple terms merging together and not looking like a matrix anymore, I've made absolutely certain that it looks like a matrix that has 1 row and 3 columns. Just to be really clear. At least one person wrote down the question correctly and then mixed up, it may not have been here, it might have been somewhere else, but mixed up B for a 6. That may have happened later on actually. But kind of be really careful how you, was that you?
It was a Z for a 2.
Oh, Z for a 2, okay, great. Right, part 2. Well, that means there's somebody else, because
I thought it was an A.
Somebody did turn letters into numbers at various points. BC. Right, so this is the matrix B05, multiplying the matrix 6, 4, minus 1. Remember that thing about matrix multiplication? Here what we're doing is we're multiplying a 1 by 3, and we're multiplying it by a 3 by 1. So we should have in our mind what the answer is going to look like. So if 1 by 3 times a 3 by 1, the 3's match up, we're left with a 1 by 1 as our answer. It still has to be a matrix, so it must have brackets around it. It's not a number. So as we multiply this through, this is B times 6. That is a B, isn't it? And then 0 times 4, and then 5 times minus 1, so that is the matrix 6b minus 5. Okay, and that's it, and it needs to make sure that it looks like a matrix, a 1 by 1 matrix at the end. Part 3, CA, so that's 6, 4, minus 1. Times the matrix A, which is A2, 3. And this time, let's again do that, even you can write it down, or you could do a mental little check about what we're doing with this. This is a 3 by 1, multiplying a 1 by 3. So the 1's match up, which means that the matrix, the answer exists. But look, it's going to be a 3 by 3 that we're expecting to end up with. So, as we multiply this through, remember where all the points are? This is row 1, column 1. So it's row 1 times column 1. And then, which order should we do it? Let's go down. So that's row 2, column 1, is row 2 times column 1. Row 3, column 1. And then this number here is row 1, column 2. So it's row 1 times column 2. And then 4 times 2, and minus 1 times 2. And then finally, we've got 6 times 3, 4 times 3, and minus 1 times 3. And that's right, isn't it, is our matrix. And that was 2 marks at the end of it. Loads of little careless mistakes cropping up in doing that. So be really, really careful and do that thing. And this should be really straightforward. If you need to write that little check to remind you what size matrix to look for in your answer, then by all means do that. And that's maths.